Because we're about to begin.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
They ain't never seen nothing like this before. Lit the room when I came through the front door. Ask me if I stress overcome, what for? Train under trees, please pardon my sycamore. Touch burning sands, cross lands, and stormy shore seasons in the year, yeah. Ain't no challenge for champions and chain no fear.
And there we go. And there we are. We are here, everybody. Oh, aren't you happy? It's Friday. Happy Friday, by the way. Are you pumped up about it? And let me ask you, just be really honest. Has this week, has it just been awesome? You know, for all of the crazy going on in the world, for all of the terrible things that are happening, has this week been okay for you? Because it has been for me. And I'll tell you, to be quite frank, I feel as though this week was the single best week of Paleocrat Diaries that we have ever had. I do. I believe that with all of my heart. I think that we have done extraordinary work this week. Not only with the show, we've trimmed it back down to 2 hours. So not only with the show, the topics of the show, the timing of the show, and we have the post-show Q&A super show that we do. And I have clips from that because we did another episode last night. It was terrible, though, I have to admit. And I don't want to go into this very long because it is embarrassing, but I have to say it. I have to admit this, is that last night I get all my stuff together. It took me a long time to kind of organize things and all that. And I had different obligations throughout the evening. And I took a nap. I actually fell asleep. I was so exhausted this week, working so hard. I was so tired. I fell asleep. And I slept for a long time, way longer. I'm talking like way, way, way longer than I anticipated sleeping. So I come downstairs, I get everything together. I'm super psyched about it. There were some glitches in the beginning, so I had to go back. I wiped it and everything and started back from the beginning. I was only about a minute into it. Started back from the beginning. And before I did, I went upstairs to go grab some coffee and grab some, something to drink and everything. And when I came back, started it up. Was super pumped. It was an amazing show. Ended up recording for almost an hour. I was so excited about it. I was so pumped up about it. And when I was ready to finish, I was almost done. I go to click the stop recording button, and I never pushed start recording. It was an hour of me talking into a microphone for nothing. I considered it a dress rehearsal. That's how you got to kind of treat it. Am I right? You know, if you make a mistake like that, and it's a big one, and there's no getting around that, there's no getting around the fact that you just talked into a microphone all pumped up and everything else and engaging and getting personal and telling stories for an hour, and then you realize that because you had, kind of gone around and taken care of some stuff and had to restart earlier on, that you just simply forgot to push record. It happens. Oh, no, it happens. It happens. And oh, boy, I was mad. I'm not even kidding. You don't even know. You do not know the level of anger and despair. It was this crazy storm inside my mind. But it's like anything else in life, right? Don't you have to just push through? Isn't that what it's about? Don't you just have to push through? Because I feel like that's the case. I feel like, especially now. And if I'm complaining about that, I mean, it seems like, boy, there's a lot of things to complain about in the world, aren't there? So what's up with that? Like, why would that get me down? Why would that get me down? It flustered me, not going to lie. It was one of those where it's frustrating. I was frustrated about it. I was very upset. I was flustered and frustrated at this. It was terrible. But anyway, I'm pumped up about it. I'm pumped up about it because I have some really great clips. And yesterday it was kind of weird because started off all funky, man. Ended up, getting everything set up, starting it up and everything for the show. And zero of the Facebook pages yesterday were broadcasting. None. It was an issue, I guess, with Facebook. It was, and not only that, it was like 6 months worth of my live videos just gone right off of Facebook. Bada boom, bada bing, gone. I didn't actually feel sad about that, though. I mean, in part because I anticipate that it was a glitch and that it's coming back, because I guess it was kind of a universal thing. At the same time, even if it wasn't, I sat down and I said, number one, we're on a lot of different places. It's a little bit of an inconvenience. Facebook is really a big place for us. at the same time, it was awesome to see how many people went from Facebook over to YouTube yesterday. And so, the comments, it was really cool, and I hope you enjoy it. So we got a lot to talk about. I'm not going to, no more introduction, man. I've been doing this too long. So, okay, here we go. Got to get my little camera. Got to become littler, just so that everybody knows how this works, is that we're broadcasting right now on 23 different channels. Okay, so we got 23 different channels bumping at the exact same time right now. Oh, Guy Smiley, he just popped up. He's in there. He's hidden behind me, right? Oh, Guy Smiley. And so he said, here I am, brother. So we got people on Facebook. We have people on YouTube. We're not seeing anybody yet on Periscope, Twitch, or DLive, but we're on all of those live. Now, we are also on the Holy Faith Media. I said yesterday, holyfaithmedia.com. I need to see if that works. Media.com. Is that what it is? Is that what it is? Yes. Okay, so you can just go to, if you do holyfaithmedia.com, it's easier than saying FHMAmericanMedia.com. It's kind of a difficult thing. Just look up holyfaithmedia.com, and there you go. Boom. Okay? So you can see it all right there. You can see it all right there. And I'm live. I'm live. Let's oh, I can't. Oh, I can't. I can make it bigger. I can make it bigger. Oh, no, I can't. No, I can't. Oh. Okay, well, I'm broadcasting live. That's my show. That's my show going on. But it's also as a podcast, okay? So it's all over the place. But part of me, trying to say, no matter where you're watching, if it's on Holy Faith Media, if it's on Twitch, it doesn't matter. You can go ahead and comment. And even if you don't see all of the other people commenting, I do. And I want to tell you, we're only showing this in the very, very beginning of the show. Okay, because we've been doing this new thing. And if you haven't gone to watch it, what's wrong with you? You're crazy, man. It's a lot of fun. It's pre-recorded, so it's not live. But what I do, I set up all of the comments, and we pull out comments that are what we believe to be the most engaging ones and things we'd like to talk about. They don't have to be really serious. They can be cute or funny, but make them good, right? Make them good. And sometimes it's just emojis because it kind of spices up the screen a little bit. But we end up engaging with all of that, editing it down to sizable length, sharing it as an unlisted video exclusive to Paleocratdiaries.com. And so, just as a greeting really quickly here, we've got David the Hermit. Don't you just hate when that happens? Oh, yeah, dude. I've had it happen a couple times. The first time it ever happened, I was on Facebook. And it wasn't actually my fault. It said it was recording. So I was doing a live stream the whole time. I thought it was recording. And I go to push stop, and it wasn't stopping. Or it did, and it wasn't indicating that it recorded anything at all. So, in fact, that's the only time I think that I've ever said the F word on a video. I bleeped it out, but boy, I was mad. I said it at Mark Zuckerberg. I'm like, Mark Zuckerberg, I effing hate you. I give him the finger, and I don't do that. You guys know. You have to really rile old boy up to turn into the Incredible Hulk and start, doing that. And so I know how to control myself on that stuff. You got to be proper. You got to speak rightly. So, okay. But I hate it when it happens. It's happened before, with radio shows I've done where we thought it was recording and it wasn't. And so if you heard it, you heard it. If you didn't, you didn't, but it couldn't be a podcast. And it's infuriating. I'm not going to lie. It's very maddening. Bethany says, hello, happy Friday to Mr. Bannister and his pack. Happy Friday to you. Stand strong, stand in the truth, stand on the rock of the Lord. Of course, the mega buff right arm, the heart, the valor, the heart man of the show, praying hands, as we always do, of course, and the wolf. Today's show is going to be a doozy, I can tell. Do it, my dude. You better believe it. Tell me, has this week been awesome? Tell me. I'm not even joking. Has it been awesome? From the very beginning, talking about preparation for death, and then from there on out, every single show, I mean, just nailing it. And I'm really proud of the developments of this show. We're getting bigger and bigger and bigger all the time. And so super pumped up about all of that. And that says, good morning to you. She said she missed me yesterday, never thought to check YouTube. Isn't that a bummer? But now, because you have to know that there will probably come a time where you'll go to my Facebook page and it will be gone. If not because of me, because the powers that be, or vice versa. I would say, if not because the powers that be, it'll be because of me. Because, and I've talked so much about this throughout the week, saying, what do we do from here? What are the things we ought to do? We'll talk a little bit about that today. Okay, we're gonna have a fun time today, and we'll have, of course, clips from last night's post-show Q&A super show. Of course, we're gonna show some clips from that, and they were really fun, really engaging stuff. Let's see. Doesn't it feel good when people don't get to hear you when you're bad? When you're bad, yeah. I don't know how that feels. I don't know. I've never, it's kind of a thing, I kind of wish that some of the people didn't hear me when I first started, because I've gone back and watched some of my earlier stuff, when I was first recording and first on air, first on TV, first on YouTube, all that stuff. When I was doing all that, I've gone back and listened, and I was like, for a while I wanted to share those like vintage Paleocrat, like, yeah, man, this is going to be dope. And I watched it and I thought, the substance, the ideas were good, but man, the delivery, dude, dang, son. But you got to practice, right? It's kind of like an artist. An artist can go back and look at their earlier art and be kind of bummed out about it and say, man, that's really embarrassing. But if you get embarrassed by that and you decide, well, I don't like the way that I drew, I'm never going to draw, and you kind of shame yourself, you'll never develop into the artist you want to be. And so now, I mean, I've got my thing going. I every day I come on, there's a rhythm, there's a rhyme, there's a continuity of greatness to the show, and it just gets better and better and better all the time. It gets better all the time. But yes, when it's bad, there's been times where I've been a little bit bummed out about the fact that it's not a pre-recorded show because I've said some stuff, or when I've accidentally, not put the mic on and stuff. That's embarrassing. So okay, that's bad. That's bad. I even edited one of those things out. It was so bad. It was like 2 minutes of that. All right, here. Let's see. I was in a room all by myself most of the time yesterday. 'Twas very lonely. Hello to all of you. Look, sometimes you got to do that, though. In fact, that's one of the clips that I'm going to be talking about. Stephanie, hi, Jeremiah, howling like a wolf pup this morning. You're probably my favorite wolf pup. You are. You're my favorite wolf pup. I almost said wolf puff. You would be a little wolf puff. You're all fuzzy and cute and stuff. Really glad that you're part of this. Let's get this party started. You better believe it. Super excited about this. Guy, I'm looking forward to this presentation. It's wonderful that we are not censored yet. That's true. It is true, and it's one of those things where the reason why I say I'm anticipating a knock on the door, both in to my home as well as to my social media channels, is because I'm not playing the game that a lot of others are, where because of the fear of being censored, they censor themselves. I'm not going to self-deport here. You're going to have to take me off for speaking what I believe to be true. You're going to have to take me off, and so you got to keep marching forward, because look. There are people that are genuinely scared, even the network. They don't want to get community strikes. There are people, that's their livelihood. And I'm like, man, I've heard that phrase before. And you don't even know the kind of stories that hit the cutting room floor because of that. So I'm not going to dog anybody. I'm part, I don't want to hurt anybody. And they're doing what they feel is right. At the same time, and if it came down to it, if there was an ultimatum, like, Jeremiah, you just simply can't do it anymore. You can't talk about those things anymore. And if you do, you'd be back on like one channel. And I'd say, Auf Wiedersehen. It's okay. It is okay. I would rather be honest and speak what I believe to be true than to be self-censoring because I'm afraid of some boogeyman. Real or unreal. Real or unreal. I'm not going to get into that panic attack mode, looking under the bed all the time, seeing when the boogeyman shows up. It's just the way it is, All right. Holy Faith Media, hello. Yep, hello to you, man. Oh, you're over there. Is that Twitch, by the way? Yeah, so if you're over there on Twitch, I encourage people, go check it out. Beef up those other platforms. Get to know them. Things like that. Get to know them. Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy, boy. All right, we got to move on, guys. We got to move on. But look, here's the rule. The rule is really simple, is that I'm not coming back into this comment section for the rest of the show. In fact, I'm not even going to look it up at all. I'm not going to have it on the screen. I'm going to drop it down so I'm not even seeing it, but I'm going to let this thing run, because at the end of the show, we go through and we pick out comments that really stand out or that we'd like to engage with and stuff like that, or they're super cute, whatever. So if they're deep, if they're thoughtful, if they're cute, doesn't matter. If we want to draw it out and talk about it, or even just to have it on the screen of the after party here for the show, because we do an extra 35 to 45, and last night, was it an hour? I think it was 45 after I trimmed it down. It was like 45 minutes. So it hovers around 35 to 45 minutes of an extra show. It's extra material. So if you love this show, and I know you do, number one, share the daylights out of it. Tag your friends. Don't be ashamed of that. If you're one of those people who come in and you're like, man, maybe it's one of those secrets. Maybe it's like a secret thing. And you're like, man, this is, I indulge, but I can't let anybody know. I get that too. I mean, whatever. But at the same time, if you're not one of those and you're like, oh, I never thought about that, I should go and share it, but also go check out the .com. And you have a bunch of reasons to do that, okay? You have a bunch of reasons to do that. In part because we've got stuff, I don't know, like this. At the .com. And we're putting up, this weekend, we will have the store up. That is what I'm aiming for. We've been too busy with other things, but over the weekend, we're not doing the same thing that we normally do. There's not going to be, evening shows and stuff like that. And so, and actually tonight I won't be able to do one tonight because I'm going to a sleep study with my son Ambrose. Nothing to be too worried about. It's actually connected with all of the stuff that we talked about and prayed about a couple months ago. But it's just protocol. They just, they believe that the situation he has to do with salt, has to do, with, how much salt he's intaking and how quickly he gets up when he's laying down or on his knees and stuff like that, for church or whatever. And so, but it's a protocol. So keep little guy in prayer. But here's the thing. We've got a whole bunch of awesome stuff. We got mugs. And you can get them in all different designs. But it's not just that. I showed this yesterday. And I got to show it again because check it out. You've got stickers. You've got magnets. You've got keychains. And somebody messaged me yesterday and told me that they bought the sweater. Now, that sweater, look, and I'll explain it later so I don't want to go into too much detail. I know that these are not the cheapest things in the world. I know this. Okay, and I explain how that all transpired and who I threatened to fire. It's a funny story. You'll laugh. Who I threatened to fire over this, but they're all made in the United States of America. They're all great quality, and they look great, right? And Ailey ended up putting all of this stuff together. She's the one who made the images for that. My son drew the Paleocrat Wolfpack symbol, and it comes in all different colors, all different sizes, men, women, styles, all different. So it's a whole bunch of fun. You got all that. And lastly, you've got the coffee cups, right? People, they're like, man, you drink coffee every day. And I'm like, you better believe it. Now, I don't know what's this stupid thing. And I've got a green straw. I don't know what that's about. It's kind of cool, though. What do you think about that? You think about that thing? Kind of reminds me, I said this last night, it kind of reminds me of that, is it the creeper? What do they call that on Minecraft? It's like, it's all kind of black and shiny and stuff. I got one of those. And we may have to put together some different images and stuff for the Team Tiny Dancer mugs because my wife made one. It looked really great, and she went to go publish it. And apparently, the photo is copyrighted by the person who took the picture, and so we aren't able to use that. It's one of those things. It was a professional photo, and we were assured that we were able to use those for professional purposes. But it's kind of weird to have a picture of yourself that you're not able to use. And so we'll find out about that. But you can get it in all different shapes: jumbo size, bone china size, espresso cup size, and it has all the details. And of course, it's made in the United States of America. It's made in the United States of America. So go ahead and make sure paleocratdiaries.com. Check all that out. We're moving on, guys. We are moving on to the awesome stories. And if you have awesome stories that you would like to send me for me to talk about, because we always start off with what? I've been trimming it down to about 20 minutes of happy fun time. So no more 45 minutes of just giggling it up and stuff. I enjoy that, but we really do have to we got to keep the show itself shorter. And the only way that we're going to do that is by kind of, drawing everything together, making it real concise. And that had to do with, instead of 7 different stories that are funny, to do, let's say, 3 or 4. I think yesterday we did 2 of them. And so we're starting right away. You got one of those stories? Send it. paleocratdiaries@gmail.com. The first story we're going to talk about here, a colonoscopy alternative comes home. No. No, it doesn't. It might go to your home, not to my home. Can you imagine? Well, and if it did, I'm getting to that age, right? I'm almost 43 years old. I keep wanting to say I'm 40. It almost comes out where I'm like, I'm 40 years old. And I'm like, yeah, dude, you've been saying that for a couple years. I'm getting to that age where you're starting to say that kind of thing. So almost 43 years old. I still feel really, really young, I'm young at heart. I'm always having a good time, always goofing around, stuff like that. Feel real lively and energetic and everything. But, so I get it. It's getting to that point where, the doctor's going to be like, Jeremiah, you're going to need to come on in for a little something, something. I'm like, no, I don't. Yeah, you do. No, I don't. And I'll say, no, I don't, because I can get it done at home. I can get it done at home. But can you imagine a situation where that's going on? I can imagine the logic behind, this and why people would, do that at home and stuff. At the same time, imagine, the wife walking in. And you're like, sweetheart, I'm checking, okay? I've had some weird stools. And so I don't know, man. I don't know how I feel about all of this. I don't know how I feel about all of it. Although, it's got to be one of those early testers. How often would you have to try that? Oh, man. How often would you have to try that, man? That would be an insane thing. I don't know how I feel about that. What about you? What do you guys think? Okay, what's this? What is this crap? Oh, no. No way, dude. Okay, am I seeing this right? I mean, it's real fast. It's real fast. Hold on. Let's see if we can get this thing up. Let's see if we can get this bugger up here to make it a little bit bigger. To make it a little bit... Where is it? Oh, come on now. Oh, come on now. Okay, yeah, that should be it. I should be able to go ahead and change this thing up. Oh, maybe not. There we go. Oh, you see that guy on the ground? He's like, oh, no. Yeah, that was a shark, man. That was a shark. How what would you do if you're sitting there and you're tapping like, hey, what's going on over here? And all of a sudden, Jaws just like, wham! I look, if people want to understand why that would be, particularly troublesome for a dude like me, I have a video that you can see on YouTube where it's the first time that I ever saw the movie Jaws. It was just this year, 2020. It was just 2020. It was the first time I ever saw it because, I saw clips of it as a kid, and I ended up having like major time recurring nightmares. You guys have those? What's your most recurring nightmare? Maybe you don't want to tell me. You're like, hey, he's going to play on this. He's going to start incorporating a bunch of these quick stories and stuff with that. No, I'll play nice. I'll play nice. But I've had recurring nightmares, and I think the one that's recurred the most, well, it's one of two things: tornadoes or sharks. So when people are telling me that I should watch Sharknado, I'm like, you're a sicko. I'm not watching Sharknado. Not Sharknado 1, not Sharknado 2. Where are they now? 25? Something big. Sharknado 25. And you're like, what? How? But no way. So sharks freak me out. I have a video, a reaction video. I didn't really know how to do reaction videos very well, and I was watching with my kids, and so there's a lot of talking going on. And there were some people who were like, why don't you just be quiet? Why don't you stop talking? And it's, so I understand. I did more of the shots where, the zooms in on the face when I'm freaked out and everything. And you can see it. You can see it. I actually watched another movie recently. I didn't do any kind of reaction to it, though. No reaction. I watched a movie that I saw when I was a kid that totally terrified me. And I've joked about it for a long time. And it's called Fortress. It was made, I think, in like 1985. I think it's an Australian movie made for TV. I think that it premiered on HBO or something like that. I don't know where it originally premiered, but it's these kids in a school, and there are these dudes that come up and surround the school, and they kidnap the kids, and they're wearing like a Santa Claus mask and a cat and a rat and stuff, and they put the kids down in a cave and all this. I watched it recently, and I'm like, I could understand how I was really scared as a kid, but I wasn't scared at all. It didn't scare me anymore, man. But that shark, I ain't playing around with that shark thing, man. I ain't playing around with that shark. All right. Let's see. Me thinking one more episode before I go to sleep. Okay. You guys do that, by the way? You guys do this? Oh, and then 4 a.m. coming in the mirror. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. I used to have a real issue with that. I'd stay up, man, till super late in the morning or early in the morning. Stay up till 2, and I'd look and say, I think one more episode of SpongeBob, one more episode of Ren and Stimpy or Super Friends. And I'm like, no, dude, go to sleep. It'll be there tomorrow. It'll be there tomorrow, man. Barring some major time, apocalyptic event, which if they were ever taken off would be apocalyptic for me. It'd be cataclysmic. I'd be so furious. I would be just so furious. What's this? Coworker, what are you listening to? Me. It's complicated. Oh, I know who that is. That is a little bit complicated, isn't it? Isn't that one Benjamin? Okay, and so, yeah. Who sent this one to me? I can imagine, though, and there are people right now who maybe you're tuning in and it's the first time, and maybe someone told you, dude, you got to listen to the show. This show is amazing, man. This guy is super deep and he's super intense. He goes off the rails and everything else. And you're tuning in and you're hearing me talk about Sharknado. And you're thinking, what's going on, man? You're saying, why is dude wearing a Doctor Who scarf? There's a good reason for this, okay? It's a good scarf. But the thing is, man, it is. It's a great scarf. I love it, dude. I love it. Got it from the Doctor Who Museum. Rest in peace, Doctor Who Museum. For the Make-A-Wish Foundation, when the Make-A-Wish sent us to Wales, in fact, to Cardiff. And we went to the museum with my daughter. And this was before, of course, she died with the anaplastic astrocytoma. If you'd like to know more about that story, right, I even have a speech for Make-A-Wish. You can check it out and stuff like that. But you may be tuning in, okay? You may be tuning in and saying, I've been told that I'm supposed to watch you because of politics and religion, political economy, culture, civilization, man. What the heck's going on? Media theory. What the heck is this crap? It's complicated. It's complicated. You're going to have to just learn to smile, man. If you come in and you're like, I only want to see that really serious stuff, well, then come back and watch it later. Come back and watch it later, skip ahead. Because the idea, and people, look, I've got individuals. I got people, real focused people. They wake up and right out of the gate, man, they're watching conspiracy videos about FEMA camps. First thing in the morning, what are you doing, sweetheart? I'm eating some cereal. What are you watching? Oh, I'm watching something about FEMA camps and the Holocaust and stuff. And you're like, wow. Yeah, 2 scoops of that, I guess. But in the morning, right out of the gate, and I'm thinking, no way, Jose. I'm playing that, man. We got to have fun. But it's complicated. Okay, it's complicated because it will get to that place. In fact, quite very, very, very soon. In fact, okay. So very, very, very soon. We're talking a matter of maybe just a couple minutes here, because we're almost done with these stories. Okay, I've been told I have to keep the volume down on this because of music. Oh, dude, look at the cat. Look at that cat's eyes. Okay, so you got a cat that's getting petted. Do you guys have this? Man, I need that cat. I'm a cat guy. I love dogs too, not gonna lie. I love dogs. I was telling somebody recently, I said I am a cat guy. I also happen to be a rabbit guy. I've had rabbits, man. I've owned rabbits that are potty trained. Okay? Now, they're potty trained, but you can get them, if you're playing games or something, you're sitting down, you're petting them and everything, and they fall asleep. Sometimes, they might pee a little bit. And so you gotta have something for that, because it could happen. They could have accidents. But the entire point is that they're great pets and actually easy to potty train. I wish that I could have one, but if I got another one, okay, because I've had a couple. If I had another rabbit, it would be the kind that are like so big. They're 20, 25 pound rabbits, and their ears are so floppy they trip over them and everything. They're like a big teddy bear. One of those teddy bears that you get from a carnival, from one of the carnies. You're throwing darts or whatever. You're doing the little thing with the ducks that flip over, and it has something at the bottom with the ducks, and you get enough of those, and you end up getting that teddy bear and stuff. The real big one that hardly anybody gets, or that some honcho and his girlfriend, he ends up doing it. You don't realize he spent $150 to get the dumb thing, but he might get the lady. It might be worth it. It might be one of those memories. She may never know the amount of money that he spent on that. So, all right, guys. Now, we got to move forward here. We're going to, I'm trying to think, how do I want to do this here? How do I want to do this, man? Okay, well, you know what? We're going to play before, no, we're going to do the Wolfpack song. We're going to do the Wolfpack song. I was sitting there thinking, man, how am I going to do this? How do I want to play this? Do I want to do the Wolfpack song and then show the clips? Or do I want to show the clips and then do the Wolfpack song? Because we're getting ready to be pumped up for the rest of the day. So right now, you got to go and you got to get that coffee. Okay? You got to go get whatever you're going to drink, because here at this show, at Paleocrat Diaries, we have a custom. And that custom is to tell the world that we don't care what they think about us, because we stand up for what we believe in our hearts to be true. What we know, in fact, to be true. And we rely entirely upon God for this. 110%. So we raise those glasses high as a demonstration to say we are not going to be shamed. We are not going to be silenced. Make a spectacle of us. It's okay. We do it of ourselves. To raise those glasses high and to howl at the sun, the S-O-N. And I told my wife, because she's making a Wolfpack cup for the store. And I told her, I said, you have to make it so that it says howl to the sun or howl at the sun. And it's going to have S-O-N because that is what it is. Put it in all caps, man. Put it in all caps because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about taking a knee for Jesus Christ. We're talking about resolving those three things, man. After taking a knee, resolving three things. Never give up, keep on smiling, and memento mori. Remember death. You're going to die. I'm going to die. We need to make the best of that. We need to make the best of the time that we have here. We didn't ask to be born. We certainly don't want to die. But at the same time, that is part of God's design. And it is for a great purpose that he made you and made me. And we have an opportunity today to show the world that we're rejoicing no matter how bad it gets. Because right now, the world needs it. It does, doesn't it? It does. It needs it super, super bad. And so we're going to go ahead. Let's go ahead back to the main here. Let's go back to the main.
5.
Nope.
4.
No, hold on a second. Yeah. Hold on a second. I'm not going back. It's like, oh no. Oh no. What are we going to do? Hold on. Hold on here. I got to go back to the main here. Take out the intro. Get myself back on the big camera and then switch it over. Watch this. Watch this. I feel better this way. Oh, hold on. Main. There we go. See that? See that? Here we go. There I am again. So I can do that behind the scenes. And so, all right, we are going to go real quickly. I'm going to play this this promo for the show. As soon as we get back, we're going to do the Wolfpack song, show some clips from last night's special Q&A. Really intense stuff. Got real deep, had a lot of fun. So there's a whole bunch of really great clips. We're going to show those. And then we're going to get into the stories of the day. So don't go anywhere. You are listening right now to Paleocrat Diaries with your host, Jeremiah Bannister. Love this video? What a coincidence. I do too. Now head on over to paleocratdiaries.com for more videos, blogs, book and movie reviews, even Team Tiny Dancer stuff. And don't forget to check out our new members and services pages. It's how I pay for my kids to attend Catholic school. Until next time, memento mori. All right, here we go. That's the jam right there.
Yeah.
That's the jam right there. Look at him go. I want you to be pumped. Be ready for the day. Be excited, energized, inspired. Let's rock this out. Come on. Give it everything you got. The world needs you right now. It needs you. It needs us, the Wolfpack. Let's go! Hallelujah! Let's go! Woo! Ow! Ow, ow, ow! Come on! I love you guys. I know you love me. There we go. There we go. That's a bunch of reasons to say hallelujah. Good morning. Good morning, kiddos. Good morning to you. Ah, I love this show. I love this show, man. It is awesome. It is awesome. And we are on like Donkey Kong. So let's rock this out. Let's rock this out right now. Now, we're going to show some clips. Each one, I think, let me get this down a little bit so that I can see and estimate for myself about how long it is going to be. Each one of these clips, okay? Because I saved them individually. I saved them individually. So, all right, here we go. I think the shortest one is the inauguration one. We talk about the inauguration. We talk about Wonder Woman in schools. We talk about vaccines and stuff like that. We talk about unplugging and revival, as well as who would be some of my favorite guests if I could have guests on, and well, I can, and I shall. It's just taking a while, right? It's taking a while, but we're pumped up about it. We're making progress. You can see it. So as it's developing, can you feel it? Can you feel how this thing has been developing over time? You can see. Go back and watch the original ones. See how much we have made progress. And so no matter what, it'll get to this place where we're going to be bumping with a whole bunch of cool guests. Not every day. Not every day. I don't want to every day. I wouldn't want to do that. Okay? And so we're going to go ahead and let's go ahead and play right now We're going to play how it all began. So look, this is from last night, okay? And this is volume number 4. We've had 4 of these videos this week. And we're not going to have one tonight because I have to go to that sleep study. We had 4 this week, okay? So make sure that you go and check it out. They are exclusive. They're unlisted. So if you go to YouTube and try to find it, you ain't going to find it. You have to go to paleocratdiaries.com. The best thing you can do, just subscribe. You know, even if you don't want to become a member, it's $5 a month or whatever. Even if you don't want to become a member, subscribe. And that way, when we do post those, because we're not going to spam you. That bothers me. I don't want to be bothersome to you. I'm only going to share stuff that goes to you that's actually dope. I'm not just going to say, well, I need to get content out all the time. No, I need to get good content to you. Not just content, good content. So that's my promise to you. I ain't messing around. I'm not going to spam you. And so go subscribe. And that way, whenever we post new things, you know you got to jam on over to the .com and you got to check it out. And here, for example, is one of the reasons why. I love the sound of that song, man. It pumps me up. It's smooth, though, isn't it? It's smooth sailing. But it's got that mix, man. It's got that grooving. Pumps you up, gets you excited for the evening show, for the post-show Q&A super show right here, exclusive, PaleocratDiaries.com. I'm your host, Jeremiah Bannister. It's really great to be with you. We had an amazing day, didn't we? It was an awesome show. I got to say, man, this whole week, dang, this whole week has been dope. So, all right, moving on. We got to go right now. Dang, okay. I like this. This is smooth, isn't it? It kind of looks nice. It's not so, blocked out and stuff. It's a little bit artistic and laid out very nicely. All right, first up, humongous. Who would be a dream first to have on the show? This is actually a difficult question. Maybe Pat Buchanan would be one of those, high atop the list. Donald Trump. It would be great to be able to speak with Donald Trump. It'd be great to speak with Paul Joseph Watson, Alex Jones, those kind of folks. Jordan Peterson, Wim Hof. That'd be another one I'd like to talk to. But also Sundance over at Conservative Treehouse, in part because I don't think Sundance does any interviews. I've never seen Sundance interviewed anywhere. I don't even know Sundance's real name. I have no idea, but one of the best websites, one of the best researchers I've ever followed. Absolutely love his work. He's one of those that I would love to have on the show. And as I said, Jonathan Haidt, who wrote Righteous Mind. I'd even be willing to have on David Lynch. I mean, he's a real weirdo. I mean, he's into transcendental meditation and stuff. But to talk about art and to talk about music, things like that, and even political correctness, because his book, the book Lynch on Lynch, about him, he says some really powerful things against political correctness and the impact that it has. In fact, it was prescient. I think those would be the types of person, right? And I'm talking about people who aren't my friends, okay? Because I don't have any of those guys on speed dial. It'd be great, wouldn't it? It'd be great, because I got a lot of friends on speed dial that I'd like to interview too. People that I'd love to have on the show. We've mentioned it before. Tim Flanders, of course, I'm on his show. He's never been on this one. Timothy Gordon, I've been on his show. He's never been on my show. I have a lot of people in mind, but if I really had to boil it down, it'd probably be people like Patrick Buchanan, Jordan Peterson, Jonathan Haidt, and even Milo. And I would add Milo as number 4 in there. But I really appreciate him. And I got to say this about this because somebody said recently, they're like, really, Milo? And I'm like, yes, really, Milo. Milo more than ever, man. Milo more than ever right now. Milo is doing a really good job in his life. And I think that it was a good thing. I followed him when he was on Twitter. But I like his stuff way better now. I like his stuff way better. He doesn't have the pizzazziness, but he's also not, sodomizing it up right now. He's been doing great on that. And he posts updates about that. And so I applaud him. I encourage him. I pray for him. He's somebody that I'm down with him, man. And I would love to be able to actually meet him and speak with him. I think that'd be a really cool thing. I'd rather meet him and speak with him than Alex Jones. And so it's just one of those things. So, all right. But that's my list. And I'm sorry that I didn't have it as a first. I can't do it. And part of that is, I mean, and you're kind of getting an idea for the people that I read, or the people that I, am interested in their books and stuff. But the truth is, most of my friends are people who died a long time ago, right? So they're people who, I tell my wife, I'm going downstairs into the man cave. I'm going to hang out with the boys. And she's like, well, who are you hanging out with? And I'm like, I don't know, Aristotle and such, and Aquinas and company. She's like, okay, go have fun with the boys. And I'm like, yep. And I go downstairs and I'm reading. So that's just the way that is. All righty. Rachel says, good, almost afternoon. I had to tune out of the world for a few days. Miss you guys. It's okay. It's okay, by the way, Rachel. In fact, I applaud you for that. I think it's healthy to take a sabbatical, a little hiatus, right? To get centered again, to get planted, to get grounded in your life, to get away from all of the noise, all of the things that glitter and glow. You got to do it. You got to do it. Because really, that's where that's the eye of the storm. And if the eye is all messed up, okay, if that calm at the center of the storm is not calm, then you're in big trouble. And so take care of yourself, girl. David, keep howling. We might have a revival. We might, dude. We might have a revival. In fact, I anticipate that this will come. And these are seasonal, okay? So we can see over time that revivals and revivalism, and that's why I want to talk about the book Enthusiasm by Ronald Knox, because so much of that has to do with those enthusiastic movements that come in particularly dark times, especially when the everyday person is going through a difficult time. Maybe even by the powers that be. Maybe even by the church powers that be. That's just the way it works. So you have these enthusiastic groups rise up. They end up doing these wild things that's ecstatic. And sometimes it has a major time influence. You can see the Great Awakenings, for example, and the kind of influence that had. At the same time, we know now we can go back and look and see and find out what kind of influence did it have in the long run. What was the social impact of that in the long run? And you basically find out that it was about as deep as the emotions that were experienced during that. They're here today, they're gone tomorrow. I know this. I've been in laughing revivals. Man, I experienced the spirit of the Toronto Blessing, the spirit of Brownsville. I experienced that. I've been there. When I got out of high school, that was my conversion experience in my life. Wildly charismatic, Pentecostal, man. I went to a school like that. So I've seen it. At the same time, you have to have a plan. You got to have a blueprint. And that's one of those things where months ago I was saying, what's the social theory? Because if we just are based off our emotions and we're just going with it and feeling really good, eventually that's going to wear off. You can't have that. Not if you want to be laying foundations. Not if you want to be a bridge builder and a wall builder. Not if you want to do that. You got to have it up here. You got to have heart. You got to have emotion. You got to have action. You got to have a blueprint. Okay? And that's why we postured ourselves in such a way here on the show. In fact, it's part of the very model. And I hope that you guys love this. It's part of the model, man. It's not just, well, what's the feeling? Ha, ha, ha. I'm going to react to whatever I'm seeing. And I'm going to point and say, I don't like that. That's naughty. That's bad. Instead, we're saying, yes, that is bad. That's terrible. But why is it terrible? Where did that terrible come from? To what extent has that terrible reached? And what can we do to overcome it? What are the steps that we must take to do it? Why? What trust can we have that it will be effective? What is the art of our warfare? What's the prospect that we'll win? And that even if we don't, that we will have laid the groundwork in such a way that the future generations, my children, if it's like King David, right? It's like King David. King David is told there's going to be a great temple, and he can't build it. He can't build it, but his son will. And it broke his heart. It'd break my heart if God's like, you're always going to be a small fish in a small pond. If God said, you're not even going to be a big fish in a small pond, you're going to be a small one in a small pond. Even if he said that, if he told me, and I have to believe it's true, that you fight with all your might, you aren't going to be rich and famous. You're not going to be that. It'll be easier for you to get into heaven. You're still going to have to fight Jeremiah because, because of Jeremiah, I know myself, guys. Come on. God knew, Lord knows me. Okay. So I've got my own things going on. At the same time, if he said, you do that, you accept that people won't know your name when you're gone, but they will know of the kingdom that you helped to lay this foundation, that you were one of those people. Those individuals that were here today, gone tomorrow, you may never know, but they were instrumental in doing that. man, I would just, the rest of my life, I'd live with a smile in my heart. You know, a little strut in my step. That wouldn't get me down one bit, dude. I'd love it, in fact. It's okay. And yes, even Jesus stood up to the wicked. Latin patriot, yeah. Jesus, and it's true. There's this idea, and you'll see it in the comments sometimes, right? Like people like, the church shouldn't get involved in politics, or you're not allowed to judge anybody, that kind of a thing. Or Jesus was like a pacifist, right? He's some kind of hippie with a, flower in his hair and stuff. And that's the way that they treat it. Number one, that's just super fake. All right, it's like the Church of Iceland training Jesus. That's not the real one. It's like, no, that's not the Lord, okay? That's not the Lord. That's, a gross carbon copy from the flames of hell. That's what that is. Okay, some crackpot Jesus. It's a crackpot Jesus. It's not. It ain't Jesus, man. It's Jesus. Lady Gaga and J-Lo are performing at the inauguration. Is Biden even going to be there? Is anyone going to be there? I guess Lady Gaga. I mean, but look, those are New World Ordites. I mean, Lady Gaga. I mean, she's full blown satanic. She's full blown. They're both whoring it out to the New World Order. But Lady Gaga, man, she was down with the Abramovich method, the spirit cooker. That chick's a weirdo, man. Lady Gaga's a weirdo. There's videos of her, and I strongly discourage the men from seeing it. But it's one of these things. Lady Gaga just buck naked, man, curled up, embracing these massive crystals, and then she's like holding on to it and droning like A or E or I or O or ooh, and doing that kind of a thing, and droning for a long time and being outside and everything. It's just bizarre. And she's with Abramovich in the river, naked with horns, right, kind of thing. And then later on is seen a photo at the dinners with Abramovich where they're using those silver spoons to dig the fake blood out of the fake guts of somebody who's acting and doing that kind of acting that they do, where they act and dress up and there's makeup like they're dead and they're in a pool of blood with guts all over, and it's food. They're LARPing cannibalism. This is what they're doing. I mean, it's crazy bizarre, man, crazy weird. So I'm totally unsurprised by that. And at that point, I mean, look, Lady Gaga is more of a New World Order spectacle in the way that, let's say, Beyonce or Katy Perry is, even more than J-Lo. But they all are. They all are. So it's not surprising, by the way. And if anybody has articles about whether or not insurance covers the side effects of the vaccination, let us know. Zach brought that up. I highly doubt it, though. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't. I've got some people. I've got somebody. In fact, in the comments, if you see Maya and you've got questions about the vaccine and nanotechnology, stuff like that, that is her forte. That is what she does. She's brilliant, man. She has rightfully earned the title of Wonder Woman. Okay, she's rightfully earned it. She is. She's a great American hero, a Michigan patriot, and that is her thing. Okay, so just like Peter, is it Kwasniewski? Peter, just like him, okay, deferring to him on issues to do with the Council of Trent and decisions to do with the subdiaconate. In the same way, I would say I'm going to defer over to Maya for that. So if you see Maya in the comment sections, make sure, if you have a question about that, just ask her. And I hope that you guys are starting to see, through this, you're starting to see the interests and the things that people are talking about and the strengths that other people in the comments have to begin even reaching out to each other and to build off each other, because we have to build each other up. We're a wolf pack. Let's see, it'll be a long road back to what is right. We must get the Marxists and their ideology out of our schools, even out of the grade schools where it is now taught. I agree with you entirely. I'm concerned, though. And again, tell me what you think. I'm concerned that conversation that train's left the station. And I say that because when the Marxists were going in, right, the school was still, the school system, it was vast, right? I mean, in America, there's schools all over the place, right? It's mass scale, so it's all over the place. America likes all of it like that. However, you still had a strong connection. Not only did you have a strong kind of social fabric that even if everybody didn't believe in Jesus, that ethic was still kind of that thread that went through everything. And the institutions itself, these schools, they weren't too far past the day and age where it was a lot of schools in these towns where you had multiple grades all together. Okay, kind of the Little House on the Prairie thing. The church house schools. My grandma went to one. She was in Tennessee. My grandma was in one in the 1900s. So even at the time of the Scopes trial, for example, you still had tons of these schools that were church schools. And then eventually it starts to make its way out of there. Eventually it begins to be turned into this mass manufactured thing, increasingly bureaucratic. And of course, with the influence, obviously, and the infiltration of Marxists who were intent on domination, of having a monopoly on power, the structure itself. But it's gotten to such a degree that even though the words are still used, kind of like our Constitution, that even though the words are still used and they're supposed to still have legal force, phrases like in loco parentis, in place of the parents, simply has practically no meaning anymore, because it's almost as if it's taken on a life of its own, and not just a life of its own, but a Leviathan-styled life of its own. And so now it's Leviathan, and you're thinking, oh, well, but you're under the power of the parent. And they're like, that's a really quaint position you've got there. And you're like, but it's in the law. And they're like, that's even more quaint. Ain't that cute? Pat you on the head and walk away. And so even if we went in, I think, let's say a bunch of people say, well, I want to get into that system. One of the primary ways that you would have to do that would be for you to go through state certification. But you're going to be a young person going through state certification, and a lot of those young people are going to be sent off by their parents to go to those schools and those universities where they now have a massive pressure group all around them, not least of which would be their major and the professors overseeing them. And the idea of a prospect of you getting a job and holding positions that are, outside the expected norm. And so you'd have to go through that. The idea that you're going to go through it, you're going to make it through, you're going to make your way up, and you're going to be able to have influence and play around with what the unions have put in place and all of this over decades of time. I don't know how realistic that is. I think you reach a point, like a critical mass. You reach a certain point where really the idea of getting anything out of the schools, you're really going to have to just get the kids out. You're really going to have to say, this is actually a lost cause. It's so bureaucratic. It's so massive that the idea of going through the process that the people did before is unrealistic, because it was successful for them because the conditions that were surrounding their entry are different dramatically from what they are here. Okay. Very few have the gonads. Oh, what? Very few have the gonads to have a show like this. That's actually true. Do you appreciate that? Do you appreciate that? Because look, you have to know. I know that you know deep down inside. I know that you know that there will come a day where you're going to go to the YouTube channel or you're going to go to my Facebook page and it's going to be gone. And I hope that you love the show, that you support the family, that you love the wolf pack. You have camaraderie there, solidarity there. You have found something here that you can identify with, that emboldens you, inspires you. It helps even to fill in blanks within your own idea of the world and the things that you want to do with your life. And that you go to the .com. I hope that you do that, and that you find me on different platforms. As I said, I'm on Telegram. I get my news from there, but I don't really post anything there. I'm thinking about it. It might be where I go. Even Gab, I'm thinking about going over there. I've already got an account. And so you can find me over there. But the main place, you got to do it, Paleocratdiaries.com. You have to go there. Okay? And show your support. Subscribe so that if we ever do get deplatformed, that we're able to tell you. Because ultimately, I believe that it is just a matter of time before I join their ranks. I really wasn't joking when I said I anticipate a knock on the door. I'm not joking. I'll let you know. When it happens, we've already got it set up, man. We've already got it set up. The wife, she knows what to do. Okay? Because it ain't a joke. It's where we are in the world right now. And I take this show very seriously. I take you very seriously. That's why I do what I do every day and what I'm doing right now at night. So, man, you got to, man. I got the gonads, bro. I got the cojones to go ahead and do this. And Night Shift, the last comment here. I love this show. It's just terrific. I love you, man. I love you. I'm glad you love the show. I mean it for all of you guys. For all of you guys, all you girls, all the ladies. I'm really grateful. You are extremely important in my life. You have a bigger role than you even know. You know, and I'm glad for times like this because the show, you know, there is a performance art to a lot of the show. And so, you know, and now it's just boom, 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 just go, go, go. And not engaging all the time. And I felt like even when there was engaging and stuff with the comments, that it's not like this. I feel like this is really more personal. And that we're able to just, I can just chill out. It's late at night. I'm hanging out, kind of wound down and stuff, had my dinner, you know, that kind of a thing. And I really appreciate this. And I would love one day to meet many of you, okay? In fact, all of you. I would love to be able to meet all of you. Maybe there's somebody in here that I'm like, I don't know about that person. I don't know about you, man. I don't know. And they kind of rub me weird. No, the truth is, I would love to meet you. It would be great. It'd be great to have a huge get-together one day, you know? But in the meantime, to be able to communicate. And one of the ways to do that, of course, is this show here. Another way is to email paleocratdiaries@gmail.com. Leave a message, and we'll get back with you because we genuinely care. And I really am serious when I say it'd be cool to have kind of a pen pal thing or to have a zine, something that's cheap. You know, maybe, you know, a couple, $2 a month or something. Make it like pretty low down there. It's not a lot. It'd be like $2 and you're going to get a monthly zine in the mail where it's personal, you know, hand done, you know, where we'd make them. I've thought about it. We've been looking into this kind of a thing. And so we're really grateful. Let's just put it that way. We're really grateful. And I'm really grateful that people went and they're even checking out the store. We had somebody today message us and said that they bought the sweatshirt. And by the way, I've said it before, the Zazzle store, it's expensive. I did not choose that store. I wasn't even, nobody even talked to me. I'm like, what? You guys just picked a store. And I'm like, well, who picked it? I'm like, wait, I'm looking at all the kids. I'm like, who picked it? Was it you, Wolfgang? You know, Wolfgang's cooing. He's 4 months old, you know, doing his thing. You know, was it you, Lucian? He's got a little passy in there. Who was it? And like, it was Mama. And I'm like, okay, I'm not fighting with Mama, dude. It's over, dude. And she's looking at me like, yeah, I did. I said, oh, yeah, you win. So, but the thing is, I know that sweater is expensive. I know that normally that person would never purchase a sweater like that. But we actually get a good cut of this. We don't set the prices. Okay, so we're not sitting there saying, oh, we just ramp it up. You know, that's what it is. It's made in America and other stuff. So there's reasons for that. But at the same time, just to say that people really care enough that they're even doing things like raising the glass and taking a picture, sending a video of themselves howling in their homes to have it on a video. You guys are awesome. And so, look, I'm just so grateful for all of that. You know, oh no. The end is here. No. No. Oh, okay. I knew it. Yeah. And there we go. There we go. And look, if you've missed any of those things, you have to go paleocratdiaries.com, and that's where you'll find them. They're exclusive over there. Okay. They are exclusive to the website. And so that's the only way. That's the only way that you are going to be able to see those. Now, real quickly, did I put that on there? No. Okay, hold on. Let me go ahead and put this up here. I have to change the screen to that. Property, do. Okie dokie. There we go. So, all right. So I showed this at the beginning. I'm going to show it right now. This is the chat, okay, that we have. And it's going right now, no matter where you are. Okay, so if you are on Twitch or Facebook or YouTube, DLive, Periscope, it doesn't matter. You can go ahead and you can post. There's a bunch of people. A lot of them will gather on Facebook, facebook.com/Jeremiah.Bannister or at Paleocrat. We have I think altogether today 20, what did it say, 24 earlier on, 23, something like that. And so we have a whole bunch of different channels that this is broadcasting over right now. And we take those comments, instead of engaging in real time, we simply we wait until after the show. We highlight the ones that we like, that we want to engage with, or that really kind of touched us and stuff. And we go ahead and we talk about it, and we make a post-show Q&A super show, and we post that exclusively as an unlisted video. So it's on YouTube, but you can't see it. unless you have the link, and the link is shared exclusively only at paleocratdiaries.com, and it's a lot of fun. And that right there, every day I've been showing them, and I won't be doing it forever, but I want to promote it because, to get people familiar with the site and to say you got to go because there's stuff being posted there. And if you love the show and you say, man, 2 hours is just not enough, which look, there are some people and they're like, dude, they need it on the drip, man. They need it, plugged into their arm and stuff. And so I get it. I understand. Believe me. That's why I do what I do. But you got to go and you got to check it out. All of that available, paleocratdiaries.com. So make sure to put your comments, make them good. Okay, make them good. And if it's about a specific topic, rather than just replying to what I say, make sure to mention it so that I don't have to kind of scramble and wonder what it's about. And so make sure that your comments are really good, and we'll go ahead and we will put them on the after show, the after party that we have. It's totally awesome. And keep your eyes out for that. Easiest way, subscribe to paleocratdiaries.com. That's free. And you'll be notified whenever we post a brand new blog or post or whatever, announcement, or, of course, our after show. So, all right. By the way, thank you all for being there. Thank you all for being there. So, all right, I needed to, before we move even anywhere forward, I need to say, that sometimes, in fact, if people watch the after party yesterday, and they watched it, let's say they woke up this morning, they saw it, and they're like, oh my gosh, dude, I need to watch this, I see it, and they go on, they hear me talk about a comment that was posted pertaining to Flint and the water crisis. Now, I don't know if this is brand new. Okay, I'm assuming that it is, in fact, brand new. And tell me if I'm wrong about it. But I was skeptical that anything would ever come about of this. And yet, according to Yahoo, former Michigan Governor Snyder is charged in Flint water crisis. A decision in 2014 left the city with lead-contaminated water and a regional outbreak of Legionnaire's disease that killed 12 people. Let me know. Somebody, if you could, in the comments, just confirm it. Let me know. Because if that's the case, I'm actually quite surprised. I am, because one of the things of what makes this a rarity, if true, and we don't know where it's going to go, right? He's going to have the best lawyers, the guy's, worth a fortune, stuff like that. Now, he's not only a geek, he's a loser. And so, but he's got loser lawyers, but they're also geek lawyers, and they know how to play this game. They know what they're doing, and so he's going to pay them gobs of money. So what would make this extraordinary, though, is, and I said it on the show last night, was that we live in a world where everybody is consumed by the present. And so they're always just hyper-focused on what's happening right now. And if they ever talk about stuff that's from the past, it's normally only in relation to stuff that's happening right now. Like, for example, this is a good example. It's referring back to a decision in 2014. But how often have you heard follow-ups to what's been going on in Flint, to the ramifications? When's the last time you actually heard anything about it? You remember when it first happened, you had all the big players were there. They were doing these town halls and everything and talking to the people, and they were trying to do updates on how many places were getting the pipes removed and replaced, and could people drink their water? How was the government dealing with that? You had all of these stories about it at the time. And it went away, and there's a lot of people, even in Michigan, who are like, whatever happened with that? And so the current events, people are so consumed, and the news cycle that we have, the nature of the news that we have is so consumed with the present that it only really refers back to the past if it is specifically relating to something that's present, not giving a context for this, or just simply following up because it's actually newsworthy. They say, well, what's newsworthy is just simply what is new. But that's not always true. That's not always true. And that's why investigative pieces are so important, and also why now they are so rare. Because that's the nature of what that is. And to a lot of news companies, that's just a waste of time. That's why you have Brian Stelter saying that's not the job of the journalist. And you're like, yes, it is. It's not the job of the reporter. Okay, the reporter, and this is what parades itself around as news now. You get people... You'll get like Pelosi said, and we showed the video of Pelosi talking about the political smear, where she'll go, let's say, to Brian Stelter. She'll go to Brian Stelter. She'll give him a smear. It's totally fake news, totally phone blowns, man, not real. But she gives it to him, and when she gives it to him, he reports on it. He doesn't investigate it. He reports on it and says it and calls it news and makes it a headline. The Democrats, according to Pelosi, this is her own words, describing something that I've known for a long time, that once that happens, then the party is able to grasp a hold of that and say, well, you saw it in the news, and it's a vicious cycle of a lie. But that tucked within that cycle is the idea that headline news that night, what the news was reported on, not investigated, reported on, was a lie. But it was new. And because it was new, and because it was a person in authority saying it, the investigation dynamic of anything to do with the publication of that and the broadcasting of that wasn't even taken into consideration. And so we'll see. But I'm skeptical, I'm cynical, but I'm also a little bit relieved. It also ended up being a decent conversation starter. Okay, I showed this throughout the week, and I'm showing it today. The power structure of the American regime. This is a good image for this that gives you an idea. And I mentioned earlier, how it should be a little bit stunning and shocking and offensive that the church is not involved in anywhere within this, okay? Now, we can be grateful for that because of the way it's played out and the way that it's, you can look at all of these and go, well, wow, it's kind of nice that the church isn't in there. That is true, but it's also unfortunate because the church would have been the operation of grace is throughout this, right? If you take the church out of it, and I use the analogy of if you take the church out of the center of the town and the steeple being the tallest place, you are showing in kind of a snapshot, you're showing kind of what's in your heart. You're showing what the society is really revolving around. It's revolving around money. It's revolving around people, around technology. You're seeing that in the way that cities and even neighborhoods are being designed. And the priority that's being given to automobiles over people. Okay, and people can say, well, automobiles have people, and you say yes, but there's a difference in the way that let's say new urbanism is treating neighborhoods and how they're emphasizing walking or bicycles or other things that are not simply mass transit. And you're seeing the constant drive toward mass transit in a world where technology is the center, where modern technology is the center, and saying this is how we give it priority. But you can see here you got big tech. These are overlords, and it's kind of weird. And maybe we need to start really thinking this through. That every time we talk about big tech, we're essentially talking about people and organizations that are so big they are essentially empires. The authority that they have is imperial. They're the standard bearers for the new modern ethic, for the modern mores, right? So you got big tech there at the top. You got billion-dollar corporations, Silicon Valley, mainstream media, political NGOs, FBI, CIA, other federal enforcement, both establishment parties, universities, and academia. I would include, just in general within that, the entire schooling system, right? And the police, and any enforcement group like that, any enforcement group. Okay, so keep that in mind as we talk about this, because again, we need to emphasize, and I promised you that I would, that we're going to emphasize things that we can do. We're not just going to talk, and we will talk about things around us to give us a context, to say why do we need to do certain actions? Why do we need to emphasize certain positions or de-emphasize others or completely get rid of them? Why do we do that? What is the reason for that? And part of that has to do with the circumstances wherein you found yourself. It's kind of like I said, how should we respond when we're talking about trying to change public schools and we're basing it off of a tactic that was used under radically different conditions? And you go, that's just not the way. And people could tell me, say, well, you're the one who brings up the idea of going back to old tech. And you bring up the idea of the example of Ruth that you heard in Little House on the Prairie. And I say, yes, because the conditions of the farm that had endured a storm and ravaged the land, those conditions made it such that the new tech wouldn't work with that. So you needed to go back. So even the tactic that was used, the technique, all of that was contingent upon circumstances and conditions. And that's what made it useful and not useless. And so we need to keep this kind of thing in mind. So right here, this is an example of one of the reasons why it's going to be really tough, especially with schooling. But it also gives us an idea for kind of where is the future for us? Why should we fight the way we fight? Why should we employ tactics that we employ? In part because those who are determining how we will be viewed, not just now, but in the future, are saying stuff like this.
By the way, I hope you're all paying somewhat attention to the news. Huge day last Wednesday. This is going to be a very historic day, a black mark in our history. We learned about dictatorship. We learned that dictators want to keep power.
So this is a teacher talking about how we've learned about dictators.
To affect what the people think in order to try to keep themselves in power. You are witnessing that going on live in our country right now. And I know this is a volatile situation. A lot of you come from...
So he's talking about how, I don't know if you can hear it clearly.
Trump supporters, and that's fine.
He's talking about Trump supporters, he's talking about Donald Trump, and he's saying that what we've learned about dictators in the past is happening right now in the United States.
Have indicated they want a new leader. The current leader is trying everything in the book not to lead, including misleading the people to support him and overturn the will of the election. The mastery of the current president, that he has convinced so many people that the real news is fake news and that the fake news is real news. And we're very, very divided. But we had a very black day, I'll tell you, on Wednesday. It was a real test of our democracy, and it looks like we're going to survive it.
So, okay. But you're seeing, and I don't know if you heard all that. If you didn't, I had it cranked up as high as I could go. The audio itself was not very close to the source, and so we weren't able to hear everything. You may have to turn it up or whatever. I apologize for that. But the idea being that these are the kinds of people that are teaching what will become history and what is history even now as they're teaching it. And this is what they're saying about what we're going through right now. We are being lumped into a group of people that if you go back and you think for yourself and you say, okay, throughout my life, how have I viewed groups like Mussolini and Hitler? When people bring up Hitler, when people bring that up, what images, when I say the word Hitler, what images come to your mind? What ideas? What feelings? How do you respond to that? Now you may, I don't know, how do you feel about Mussolini? Is it more like, I don't know much about that guy? Okay. And most people don't, right? Compared to those who think that they know a lot about Adolf Hitler. And so you sit there and you say, okay, that's how you feel about it. How is the word, right? How has that name been deployed? Is it powerful? If someone goes, man, you sound like Hitler, what happens inside of you? Do you recoil? Are you afraid? Rightfully so. Because the reason I'm bringing this up is to say, if people in positions of power over the way that history is presented and taught to future generations, if they are successful in making sure that the way they're describing not only Donald Trump, but as you heard, his supporters and the moment we are in, if they're successful at describing it in that way and lumping it in with that, then Trump is the new Hitler. You can say, you sound like Donald Trump, and you're going to eventually have, for future generations, that kind of response. And so we need to realize that we aren't just up against something that is like, well, yeah, they've called me that, but I know better. I know better. We've been making those arguments now for years where people have wrongfully maligned us. They've bashed us as fascists, as Nazis, as racists, white supremacists. They've labeled us these things over and over and over and over and over again, and they've summed it up by calling us fascist, by calling us Nazis, by calling us Hitler. And now, MAGA, Trump. We have to realize what we're up against, because sometimes the full impact, and in fact, more often than not, the full impact and ramifications of changes of this nature and of this magnitude, they don't hit us for a long time. And by the time they finally do, it's too late. We need to be aware of this. And you're seeing already too. That how is this playing itself out? It's not just the weirdos in academia. It's not just them. It's not just weirdos and politicians that are using it for their momentary advantage. These have long-lasting consequences. Take the Palmer Report. Conservatism means you don't believe in equality. Now, here's where he's right and he's wrong. Palmer Report is assuming, okay, he doesn't tell you this, but he's assuming a definition of equality that we actually would disagree with. Because we look at it as qualitative and not quantitative. We admit that there are, even from the Bible, think of this. Is everybody an apostle? No. Is everybody a teacher? No. Is everybody a prophet? No. Does everybody have the same gifts? No. There are leaders. If someone is aspiring to be a leader, there are rules for the leadership. It's hierarchical. Nature, in fact, is hierarchical. It's a bizarre thing for people to try to equalize everything, and that's really where he's starting from. His view of equality is a funky, very democratic, modern view. In fact, derived from ideas to do with rationalism and materialism, eminent frames of the world that believe that we're all kind of stuck inside of the eminent frame of the real and what we can feel, that there's no spirit, there's no soul, there's no miracle, there's no God. And that insofar as it's not equal, it's a manipulative thing. That we would all be equal and that we all should be equal if we just simply, played with the levers over here and did a little tweaking over there. It's not the idea of, the tides are raising all boats, because you're going to end up having boats at different places and it's going to raise all of them. That's true. That's good. But some boats are bigger than others. There's different functions, different tasks, different gifts, different talents. And at the core of all of that, regardless of the function that we have in society, we believe in a qualitative sense of equality, because we believe in something as simple as the lullaby, the religious lullaby that we heard as little kids with our heads on the lap of our grandmothers on a porch swing that said, red and yellow, black and white, we are precious in his sight. Amen. And in that sense, we are all equal. At the same time, we can all recognize this. The idea, how many people in this world really don't think for themselves? About 99%. You have thought leaders. You have people who are able to think through abstract ideas, difficult concepts. And a lot of the masses, right? A lot of the people, what democracy calls the people, those individuals, they're too busy to do a lot of that, or they don't have an interest in that. Democracy, politicizing everything, tells those people that they should. It wants everything political. Well, you need to have an opinion. What's your opinion on this topic? Nuclear disarmament. What's your opinion on that? Rando Joe's like, I don't know. I've never read anything about it. And the Democrat, little d, the Democrat sits there and says, well, you got to study up on it. Everything's political now. We're in an era of absolute politics. And consequence of what we've been talking about with democracy. And the constant advancement of that idea. So we do disagree on equality. We're not believing that you got to pull people down and raise people up, but we sit there and say equality is the sense that you are all created in the image and likeness of God, that you are created specially, that you've been given gifts and talents, and that you should not be treated differently in the eyes of the law. You should not be treated differently because you're poor, because you're rich. It should be blind in that sense. This is not blind. It means you want it all for yourself, and you're willing to destroy other groups of people to take it all for yourself. Just consider for a moment the grotesque hypocrisy and ignorance of Palmer Report. Just gaze on it. Just gaze on it. It's like a train wreck that you drive by and you're doing a sign of the cross thinking, wow, we really hope everybody is okay in there. There's carnage all over the place. You're seeing it right now. It's like an animated, it's animated carnage. Take it all for your, he says that they're going after groups. He is right in one sense, but he's ignorant of how his is the exact same thing. And he's gonna reveal this later. It's inevitable with worldviews. It's inevitable. Even the people who say, well, no, I don't want to have an imperial worldview. I don't want my worldview to catch on with everybody. I just think it's true and that it would be best for everybody. Think of the kind of dissonance going on between the ears and that skull. If you think it's true and you think it's good and you think that it's good for everybody, everywhere at all times, then it's going to be something that inevitably you'll want to have other people. And an example of that would be individuals who really take that idea to an extreme, that say, what's right to me is wrong to me, what's right to me is right to me, what's wrong to me is wrong to me, and you can't tell me otherwise, and you can't force your beliefs on me. And that other person, so they're doing what he's saying, that I'm not about destroying other groups and taking it all for myself. I want everybody to be their own little thing. But what if you come to them and you go, well, I don't believe that. I actually believe that I can destroy other groups and take it for myself. And they're like, well, you can't believe that. And you say, why not? You're forcing your beliefs on me now. You just got done telling me that your beliefs are your beliefs, my beliefs are mine, and we can't force them on each other. And I'm telling you that my beliefs are different from yours, and I believe we can, and you're telling me I can't. It's inevitable. It's inevitable. He said it's not a crime. That's not a crime against the law, but it's a crime against humanity. There it is again. There's the big mass of people. That's the big mass of people. And he's trying to force those beliefs on everybody else. And we must acknowledge as much. Conservatives, and here again, listen to how this plays itself out. He says that conservatives have a problem. They're trying to destroy other groups and take it all for themselves. And then he says this, and again, this is true for everybody. This is true for no matter what worldview you're coming from. It is true. So you say conservatives cannot be teachers, police officers, doctors, lawyers, coaches, or bosses. And do you realize here, he's really laying his hand out, talking about concepts of power. Power. So if conservatives aren't allowed, then you're going to have who? People like him. How is that not taking it all for yourself, Home Slice? And how is that not destroying other groups, Home Slice? He said it's constitutionally unfair to others who are subjected to the conservatives' deranged judgment. Dude, you're so deranged, you post a thread and contradict yourself dramatically within a matter of, what, one sentence? 2 sentences. One of these things does not belong here. One of these things is not the same. It's like Sesame Street talk, dude. Conservatives can do menial work. There it is again. And this is really what it's about. They're like, look, as long as you don't have power. But how is that? Again, this is the dynamic of power. This is a great display of this. It is a great demonstration. Thank you very much, Palmer Report. You have shown us something quite brilliant. In fact, the antithesis of what you have said. The antithesis of this. But you've revealed your hand. It's an inevitable thing. And he says, look, they can do menial work until they're ready to join the mega group. So your group, you want to be so big. And there it is again. Remember, I said a political unit is one that would be able to divide between friend and enemy and to wage war. What do you think that is? What do you think that is? We can do menial work. They can go out. They can go outside. We can put them in some jumpers. How are we going to know, Palmer? How are we going to know which one's conservative? Maybe they can wear some outfits with some stripes on it. We can get them into some kind of a menial work camp. Have you ever thought of that, Palmer? Have you thought of that? They don't even realize, dude. They got themselves a little mustache. They don't even realize it. The ignorance of it all. And by the way, it's crazy to say a conservative's deranged judgment. Number one, it's realistic. That's number one. Number two, this right here sounds awfully freaking deranged. Does it not? I mean, does this guy sound like he's, needing one of those special jackets he can hug himself with, love locks in the back. We shouldn't be cold-hearted about this. But having a conservative as a police officer, for instance, isn't much different from having a KKK member as a police officer. Whoa, man. Wowzers. It seems actually very different, bro, because the vast majority of conservative people want nothing to do with the KKK. In fact, the KKK, there's good arguments to show that the KKK is a lot closer to you, Home Slice. It's just not something that a civilized society can ever tolerate. So what he wants, he doesn't want a religious test. He doesn't want a religious test, but he does. So he's saying it's constitutionally bad. Well, if he wants to play that game, where's the religious test on this? Well, you're a conservative. You have conservative beliefs and values. Oh, you believe in the Bible? You believe in tradition? You believe in that kind of a thing? You believe in realism? Wow, man. That's wicked bad. I don't think you are fit out for that. Have you considered maybe breaking the rocks with those people in the striped jumpers? Oh, and we should rehabilitate any conservatives who are willing to try. Can you imagine? But you have to. You have to imagine that we're going to get to a place where you're going to have friends who are going to cry and be like, man, I'm so sorry. I used to be a conservative. I used to believe in God and all of the Bible and tradition and values and like reality and stuff. But I've learned because I was reading Palmer Report and I finally came to realize I need help. And if you don't think that's true, go back and ask yourself how many people you've known over the last 10 years. How many people have you known that on Facebook, maybe you went to church with them? I know a bunch of people. I won't name them, but there were people I used to go to church with. And they were very conservative people, very traditional people. They believed in the Bible. It's how they were raised. It's where they went to church. And now they're the kind of people that are talking about maybe it's time that we all just shine the shoes of random black people. You quitting their job, saying, I think it's maybe a good idea that if you're white, you should consider leaving your place of work so that somebody else can get that job. We're already there. We've been there, in fact, for years. We've seen evidences of this, fruits of this. So you can see these things pop up, and it's easy to make fun of, but we have to take these things seriously. They're actually warning signs. It's a symptom of something, it's of a sickness that is spreading rapidly. And now it's to such a point that people can say stuff like this, and he's not even going to get in any trouble on Twitter. We should pay them to undergo therapy and retraining. I joke around about Clockwork Orange, opening the eyes up, taking the images and stuff. Dude, this guy is straight out of that. He's straight out of that. This guy's actually a maniacal lunatic. If you think about it, I'm not trying to be rude to him. He's a maniacal lunatic. He's actually a dangerous person. But we must first get them out of positions of influence because they're infringing on the rights of other people. And this is where we have to get to the place of saying, what are we basing our rights off of? And this is going to eventually involve serious debates on the right over ideas within our founding documents. I think that we've taken those and we've said, we get them by the big G, right? The big A and the big G, the big P, Providence and Almighty and the big G God. That kind of a thing. And we need to be a lot more specific about that. Okay, we're not talking the conduit coexist God. We're not talking that. We're not talking the Freemason big G. We're not talking that. We're talking the triune God. And what does the triune God say regarding rights and responsibilities? Is that aligned with the enlightened idea and revolutionary concepts within our founding documents? Is it? We've heard it for a long time. But we've also seen the continuity that comes from that says, well, these are the liberties that we have. You're allowed to blaspheme. That's fine. Go around and blaspheme. You're allowed to have whatever religion. And these people will complain and go, man, I really don't like that the Satanic Temple's putting all that satanic crap outside the Capitol. And you're like, dude, it is a consequence of this. If you don't think that is a flow from that, or the time bomb that I've talked about in the Constitution regarding no religious test. and say, if you think that the secularism that we have, even the separation of church and state, the way that it was framed, these things need to be debated, because we need to get back to that concept of based on what, where are the rights that we have? And we need to look at some of those arguments that have failed us. Some of those arguments that have failed us because they were weak. They were based more on idolizing the past, idolizing founding fathers, idolizing founding documents, than basing it upon Jesus Christ. It was like looking at it and loving it, and so then trying to say, well, we need to come up with an answer. So going to the Bible and trying to justify what you started with instead of vice versa. I'm not going to go and look at some dude's argument, some guy, and by the way, some of the founders, take Jefferson. The guy didn't believe in miracles, man. He writes his own version of the Bible. Think of how radical that is. I'm not trying to throw everybody under the bus, but say, look, if some dude you knew came and said, well, I don't believe in the miracles, so I believe Jesus is just a smart guy. He's just a smart guy. He's like Gandhi, some kind of ethical guru. And I'm gonna take out all of the miraculous claims, all of the messianic claims, and make it so that that's we're just talking about the life and works of Jesus without all the, mysticism and such. If you start with that idea that that's your assumption, think of what kind of concept of rights from God are going to come from that. Worldviews actually matter. Some stuff's just stupid. But again, symptomatic. Clyburn to propose making Black National Anthem the official U.S. national hymn. No. Let's not do that. Let's not do that. No, I'm not meaning to bust on the Black National Anthem. Look, I think it's a decent song. It's decent enough. But give me a break. We need to realize again, here's another symptom. Third graders are told to rank themselves according to their power and privilege. Silicon Valley Elementary School was teaching third graders critical race theory, asking them to identify their power and privilege. These are the same weirdos that are asking them and saying and defending and saying, oh, well, little Johnny, little Jimmy, and Sally in third grade, they're talking about how they're really a girl. So maybe we should, cut off the willy. Same people. Deranged lunatics, man. And by the way, think of how messed up that is. Think of how Dr. Frankenstein that is. It's whacked out. And we can't just, we have to be proactive about a lot of this. Not just complaining about a lot of it, but being proactive because, insisting, and I know it's tough. I know it's tough. But we get caught up in a lot of these arguments and a lot of these debates. Take, for example, Jacob Blake. There's a video. I'm not going to show it because it's on a news channel and I don't want to get any kind of copyright thing, even though I'm commenting on it. But the idea, and we can sum it up, is that here's Jacob Blake admitting on GMA today that he was in fact carrying a knife when he was shot by police. Holy crap. They destroyed Kenosha for literally nothing. And instead of just simply denying, that there was nothing wrong, that the police officer was perfectly fine, really learning to argue as to why we need to just wait and why it's actually a dangerous thing when we're constantly just reacting to stuff that's new. I had a friend of mine. In fact, she might, people might be listening. And if you're listening and this relates to you, I'm not using this as a criticism of you. I'm using it as an example of why we need to be careful about this. There was a meme going around talking about how Donald Trump supposedly wanted everybody to get off Facebook today for 24 hours so that we could see how it financially hits Facebook, and then said, share this with all of your friends. We need to see this kind of a thing and go, highly unlikely. Highly unlikely. We shouldn't just respond to something because we've heard it. We need to be suspicious about stuff. And stuff like that is actually, just as a future warning to a lot of people, stuff like that, if you see something that's like, share it with all of your friends, and it doesn't look official, it looks poorly put together, which it does. It's a poorly put together meme, and you haven't heard it from anybody but, no offense, but a lot of boomers and stuff that see this, and they're sharing it amongst themselves. Did you see this? And they're all looking at it. That you can just, honest to goodness, bank on the idea that it's probably true or probably false. And that even even if it happens to end up being true, it's not going to hurt you. It's not going to cost you anything in the world if you didn't go along with it. We've got to prioritize. But we can't just be the reaction people. We need to think deeper about these things so that when we do react, it's not just simply that we're reacting, but we are responding to the situation in such a way that rather than getting all emotional and upset and kind of thrashing around in the kiddie pool, instead, we invite people into the deep end. And we're going to find a lot of people can't. And say, look, we have to get in the deep end. We need to talk about what is due process. We need to talk about the burden of proof. We need to talk about the concept of evidence. We need to talk about the grinding wheels and slow wheels of justice. We need to talk about that. And we need to talk about the dangers of jumping to conclusions just based on, a quick take from a commercial news station. Or from rando boomers online. Just stop, guys. I implore you, please, for the sake of all of us and for the sake of yourselves, please. I love you guys, but, that's what we got to do because we fall for it too. And as I said, it's not meaning to bust the chops to anybody here, but just to say these are examples of ways that it can affect us, and we can look at others and be thankful that it's not as bad. say thankful that even our reactions, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? If somebody believes, for example, that the Trump thing and saying Donald Trump wants you to get off Facebook for 24 hours, that even if you really believe that and you're like, let's do it, and you go ahead and do it, who cares, right? But seeing a video and going, okay, let's go out and burn and loot, wow, that's bad. That's bad. Now, one of those things, and I said this, I hope you appreciate that I've been nuanced on this to say there's reason to be suspicious even of some of the things to do with the way that a lot of the situation in the Capitol played itself out. Now, there's another video, too, that I don't have lined up here, and I'm nervous to show it, but it shows people who are obviously coordinating with each other, and I don't believe these people are Trump people. And they're all in a room, and they're talking about where to go. They have basically the layout. They know areas that they shouldn't even know. The question is, how did they know? And I think it's in part because we have stuff like this. This is, by the way, this is, to give you context, this is, what's his name, man? A BLM activist. In fact, he was so fringy, I guess even some BLM folks are like, dude, we got to get him out of here. But at the same time, he's totally a New World Orderite, probably MK Ultra. His eyeballs are just busted out. One of those people. He's been feministing his brains out for years. And so you got him, and you got a chick over at CNN. And listen to what they say.
I'll give you your hug now. We did it. You were right. We did it.
Dude, I was trying to tell you. I couldn't say much.
You were right.
You just have to watch my chat.
Oh my God.
Is this not going to be the best film you've ever made in your life?
That's it.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah?
Hell yeah.
Wait, you weren't recording, were you?
I'll delete that shit. But I didn't record you or me. It was just voices.
Oh, we did it! CNN, yay, we did it! What did you do? What'd you do, Toots? What are you talking about, lady? We did it! Wow! And he's like, oh, I told you we would! I told you! Isn't this gonna be the best film you've ever made? Yeah! You're not recording, are you? Oh, no, I'll delete it. Uh-oh, Spaghetti-O. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, Spaghetti-O. Look at that. And it's kind of weird because you know what he was doing? Homeboy has been caught. Pictures of him with a bunch of MAGA gear, and he's like, well, I was doing it so I could blend in. And you're like, I know. You couple the idea of you in those clothes, you trying to blend in, your voice being lost because you've been screaming and riling people up for what? Oh, I don't know. Let's see one more time. This is really delicious. This is delicious. One more time, and just listen to look at how excited she is. Look at how excited she is. And I bet you they're the same people She's probably part of that same cabal that is going around right now and calling people traitors, calling this right here a siege. And lo and behold, guess what? Why would you say you were right? We did it. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? You get any Trump people with videos saying, dude, look, we did it. Yeah, I told you it's going to be the best movie of your life. You got to believe in me. You got to be part of my chat. Blah, blah, blah. Dude, the FBI and all of the intelligence agencies would be beating down their freaking doors with a battering ram. And this lady, she's champagning it up. She's champagning it up. She's one of those, the hoity-toity, pinky up people. You think she's even afraid? She should be. She should be.
I'll give you your hug now. We did it.
Give you a hug. Huggy wuggies.
You were right. We did it.
Dude, I was trying to tell you. I couldn't say much.
You were right.
He couldn't say much. You were right. Oh, man. Oh, my gosh. Look at what we did.
Best film you've ever made in your life.
That's it.
Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Hell yeah.
Wait, you weren't recording, were you?
I'll delete that shit.
You
But
aren't
I didn't
recording,
record
right?
It's just
You aren't
worthless.
recording. You aren't recording, right? Dude, you know it's bad. You know that it is bad. Oh, and look at this. The FBI just arrested a CNN guest for inciting violence and rioting at the Capitol. Oh, and look, where was he? Where was he? Oh, CNN. Look at that. Look at that, dude. Oh, Insurgents USA. Ooh, wow. An insurgents. Kind of a weird use of terms. Kind of a weird use of terms, ain't it? Kind of one of those things, ain't it? You got Anderson Cooper. Anderson Cooper over there. He's totally a deep state shill, by the way. CIA all the way through, man. He's got a handler. He's sitting there. He's an actor. He's sitting there, and he's talking to this guy. You think he doesn't know what's going on? You think he doesn't know that one chick is sitting there recording, teaming up with the exact same guy that they bring on the air? Do you think he doesn't know? Oh boy. Again, now Facebook and CNN need to be shut down for allowing users or guests to incite and cause violence using their platforms. It's only fair. It's only fair. Facebook and CNN, man. Dang. They need to be shut down for sure. No doubt about that. Yeah, because here's the thing. They're talking about Parler. They're talking about Telegram. They're all focused on that. And you sit there and you go, dude, what about CNN? What about CNN? And then a report comes out. And what does it say? What does it say? Do we have it lined up? About Facebook. That they're finding out now a couple things. Number one, and these are good developments. They've come to find out, analyzing all of this footage, authorities, that they're like, it doesn't really make a lot of sense that, you know, the kind of damage that was done by specific groups that and specific people that we know were involved in this, it doesn't actually make sense that it was something that was spontaneous. In fact, it seems as if you almost had to have a pretty highly coordinated and structured attempt at this. Ooh, boy. Ooh, boy. I bet you had a lot of people that were sitting there and saying, we did it. Give me huggy wuggies, man. We did it. I'm going to make a great movie. I'm going to make a movie. We got the people to do it. But it also admits something here. So on the one hand, and this is why I hope you're glad we're nuanced here. On the one hand, you've got a situation where, we can identify people that were part of manipulative movements, highly coordinated, including the son of the judge, man, this registered Democrat dude. And some of them are so stupid. Some of them are so stupid, man, that they dress up in ways that are totally a spectacle. But that brings more attention to them. So then you can find out who these people are, and you're like, wait a second, dude, you're a leftist, bro. What the heck is this? What the heck is this? But while we can point to those individuals, we can also say one of the reasons why this activist from Insurgents USA or whatever, why he was so excited and why CNN was so excited was because they were able to foment people. Who? People like those who were there out of a genuine outrage because of what has been going on. Bad decisions. But it's again a microcosm, microcosm, right? It's this idea, this kind of snapshot into how things are played in general. That is not, it's a cartoon and a caricature to just blame one group and to pretend that there was no symbiotic relationship or that they were not able to manipulate others who wouldn't agree with them, and if they knew the truth about it, wouldn't have done what they did. It's putting too much stock into the mind and the reason of men and women. And we have to realize too that a lot of the people we're dealing with are people like this. And I don't want to just bust on people, because this is obviously a real problem. And this is a spiritual problem. This is not strictly a mental issue. It says, you think you can hurt me? I have depression, anxiety, autism, DID, dysphoria, OCD, POCD, ADHD, psychosis, delusional paranoia, Renfield syndrome, IBS, and chronic pain, all professionally diagnosed. And I believe that, actually. That is probably true. This person is a wigwam of a crazy smorgasbord of problems. And it's spiritual. It's a spiritual thing. And we need to realize that that is true, that same spiritual sickness is true in the people that we're seeing with CNN, the people that we're seeing with BLM, the people that we're seeing with Antifa, the people that are inside of that chart that I showed at the beginning of the pyramid of power. Those people, it is a spiritual sickness. It's spiritual, it's physical, it's political, it's cultural, but at the core of it all is spiritual. And so we need to have a multifaceted approach on how not only to resist, but to restore and to reconcile. Because you got people even like this cat. Right? PBS top lawyer says government should build enlightenment camps and remove children from Trump-supporting homes. And you know what? This guy was fired from PBS, and they were like, "Oh, he wasn't a top lawyer. He's kind of a lower down one." But the idea that people hadn't heard that kind of crap from this guy, are you serious? That's where it is. And it's unsurprising in this day and age of absolute politics. But just like the concept of how do we get in and fix something when it comes to schools or when it comes to politics, because I mentioned in the full edition of the video that we showed clips from earlier, the video that's shared at paleocratdiaries.com right now. I shared it last night. In part of that video, I showed how what we're learning and what I was saying about schools is applicable also to political solutions. If you're talking electoral, the idea of going in and making a change, we have to understand, right, that this is what we're up against. These are the conditions that we are dealing with. And that's the only way that we're going to be able, again, to repeat this one, how to pretend to be indoctrinated enough to stay out of the re-education camps. You're going to have a lot of people doing that. Somebody made the joke about, well, if the Muslims ever took over, I'd wear a burqa to hide and kind of maneuver around and stuff. And there are many different tactics at the disposal. These will be debated. But we're going to need to be very forthright about certain things. You're going to have individuals that have basically appropriated Ben Shapiro with this and say, facts don't care about your feelings. And we need to be able to say to them, material conditions don't care about your idealism. Your idealism doesn't even have the rubber hit the road. So you can say all of the things you want to say, but if it doesn't apply in real life, and that's a glory, in fact. It is one of the glorious things about the Christian worldview is that when we talk about things, God isn't just sitting there saying, well, here's my ideas and they're not applicable, they're not practical. Oh, no, they are. It just takes grit and resolve. It takes that kind of thing, that elbow grease that says, I'm willing to put myself on the line and work my freaking tail off. And not for fear, but for the glory of God, for the advancement of kingdom principles in this world and the restoration of all things in Christ Jesus. Christ the King, baby. It's applicable through and through. And that's why we need to show it, even in little small platoons. We need to be able to show this in the Burkean way of describing that. Edmund Burke. Those little platoons. Sometimes it might just be fun. Me every day. What? and making it so that people, when they do this kind of thing, and now they're doubling it up. Joe Biden talks about it. He's talking about doubling it up. Saying, oh yeah, man. You got to, well, you thought one mask was good. Put on two of them. It really helps. Probably because he saw those videos that we showed of the people dancing on New Year's, and that all the steam was coming out all over the woman's face. What a perfect shot, too, because she's like, and she's all really in the moment doing the dance and taking it in, and all of the steam from the dude's face is all over, and it's like super spreader. They should have worn two. They should have worn two. But you're going to need to be willing to be like this person here who's sitting there surrounded by chaos. This is an unfortunate situation. But again, you're seeing it's symptomatic. It's something, it's an evidence of a deeper problem. And now it's flaunting itself. Not only are cameras and stuff inside of classrooms, but you got kids dancing all over the bed, or all over the bed. It's like that song that you teach kids. And I'm reluctant to say this because I know the video. But to sit there, you know what I'm talking about, though. No more monkeys jumping on the bed. You can't have this kind of crap. People jumping around on top of desks. They've lost the vision of where are you. They've lost the vision of realizing that some things remain in the home. Some things go to church. And that's the proper way to deal with things in church. There's a proper way to conduct yourself inside of school. There's a proper way to conduct yourself in all these places. We have seen the collapse of the fail-safes. We've seen the way that all of these things have crumbled and gone away, and the most brute nature that we have, the most unrestrained and just absolutely crazy dynamics of our nature are on full display for the world to see. And we have to be one of those people, like the one sitting down at the desk. Yes. You come up and you start dancing on my desk, dude, I am karate chopping that leg out from underneath you. You want to come out and you want to start acting crazy like this in public. You want to start doing this stuff in public. We need to have the resolve. We need to have that determination that we are insisting upon cultural order, religious order, family order. And we need to be willing and say, man, when the world is coming around and acting all crazy and everything else, we're the individual giving it the middle finger, doing the appropriate thing, sitting in our desk. And if somebody comes over and does that, blam! And everybody's aghast. And that's when you know that the world is topsy-turvy. It's flipped on its head because nobody was surprised at the fact that everyone is dancing around on their desks. That's the world right now. And I'm that person sitting in that chair. I'm that person sitting in that chair saying, you know what? You want to come at me, brother? You want to come at me, sister? You want to play that game? We are putting together a program that is going to enable people, equip people, encourage people, inspire them, and empower them to do those things that are right. And to cut those things down that are wrong. And to put in place standards and expectations, not just on others, but on ourselves first. You start with yourself. Because, I'll save a lot of these things for later. I'll end with this, actually. These are challenging times. This is Nick Fuentes, right? These are challenging times, but nothing that has transpired in the past week is anything we didn't expect. I want you to really think about it. Anybody who's been watching this show for a while, go back and think. Ask yourself. Say, how long has Jeremiah been talking about this? How long has Jeremiah been warning of these things, been telling us that we need to be equipped, that we need to be an encouragement to others, to build ourselves up and to build up the rest of us all together for the benefit not only of the group, but for the advancement of Christ's kingdom in this world? How long? How long has he been showing us this stuff? We should have been prepared. Were you? Are you happy, by the way? Are you relieved, by the way? Because a lot of these other shows, you know, they're out there playing in the kiddie pool. They're playing in the kiddie pool. It's easy to show the stuff that's really messed up. It's difficult to use those as a catapult to talk deeply and personally about how we ought to live, how we ought to think, how we ought to speak, the aims that we've got, and the reasons we have to fight and to believe that we will be victorious. That's a different game, man. And that's what you get here. We put a lot into this to make sure that it's something that separates. We're not the only ones, but we are part of a group that is not, it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I hope that people always remember and say, man, this guy was on it. This guy put himself out there in a way for a long time. The whole model of the show was based on that. You're going to see more and more. I'm telling you right now, you're going to see more and more because people are going to begin to get bothered by the let's poke fun and just lull ourselves to sleep. Basically, when you get in that place where every day you're just watching reaction videos to the crazy and it gets no deeper than that, it is the kiddie pool. And you're amusing yourselves to death. You're essentially living a life in a commercial for a product that just doesn't have the bang for the buck. We don't do that here. There's no lullaby here. I'm not lulling you to sleep. Massive deplatforming, weaponization of the FBI, the election coup. We've been discussing this and preparing for years, although we could have never fully prepared for what's happening. True. Don't give in to fear or despair. These are the conditions that create heroes and legends. Stay strong. He says his show will return soon. He said it will return soon. So I want to encourage you. I want you to be encouraged by this. And look, if you missed this week of these shows, you need to go back and watch it. This week was dope. This week was amazing, by the way. This was the tamest of them all. Man, we're talking the rawest, most powerful stuff this week. I told my wife, I said, look, last night we were talking, and I said, I don't think that I have ever put more into shows than I did this week. Where I'm just giving everything I've got. I'm laying it all on the table. Holding nothing back. And saying, instead of just reacting, man, we are marching. I put everything into it. If you didn't see it, you got to be prepared. You got to be prepared to laugh. You got to be prepared to cry. And you got to be prepared to begin preparing for your own death. In fact, that's the way we started. We started Monday. There was no funny at all. Think of how jolting that was to the very structure of our show. How jolting it was that on a Monday of all the days to say we're not even going to have the funny. We need to talk right now about something serious. And not just serious, but about the fact that me, you, and everybody we know that we're mortal and that we're going to die. And what does that mean for us? I've been told I need to make a highlight reel of rants. Especially the ones from this week. I'm just grateful for all of you. And remember, there's not going to be a new show tonight. We're going to take the comments and we're going to turn them into either a pre-recorded show or I'll just do a live show maybe tomorrow night or something like that, where we can go through a lot of the comments. I'll lay them out. We'll put together some kind of a template or whatever. And we'll be able to do that. If I do, I'll make an announcement. You can find that, of course, Paleocratdiaries.com. It'll be an unlisted video. And so you got to make sure that you subscribe so that you don't miss that. But I have a sleep study today with my son. My son is Ambrose. So make sure that you go ahead and you keep him in your prayers. We're not worried about it, but it is protocol, right? It's the last part of the protocol. So they believe all other tests have been fine, but they just want to make sure that he's sleeping okay and everything else and kind of what's going on while he sleeps. And so we're gonna go and do that. But remember, okay, that all of the comments that you did today, and I hope that you made them great. I hope, and if you had a question, and it doesn't even have to be about the show, and I should have said that, it doesn't have to be about anything that I talk about. It can be about whatever you want to talk about. Okay, so we've had questions about politics, economics, the party system, vaccines, you name it. It's been a whole bunch. So apologetics, things to do with religion. And it doesn't have to be a question. Sometimes it can be a well-crafted comment, whatever it is. And well-crafted, including, and I always like it when people include emojis because it pops out on the screen. It's not just a bunch of words. We got some images on there, and sometimes it's real fun. And so make sure that you go ahead and do that real quick. We've got only about a minute left of the show. Let me see if my wife and kids are available. Hold on, give me 1 second. Let me. All right. Yeah, I yelled up there. She's way up. We're in Castle Paleocrat here. We're in Castle Paleocrat, and they're up in the towers. And so I got to make sure that my voice reaches, man. I had the intercom. And the intercom, it was kind of annoying, man. It was a little bit annoying, and it wasn't very loud. We got to really work on that. So they're going to come down right now so that you guys can see the kids, so you can see the old kiddos. Let's see if we can get back to the main screen. There we go. We'll get the main camera up here. All right. So again, grateful for all of you. Make sure to share this. And that's the last thing I'll say for the weekend, that I hope you have a really great weekend. We'll be back again Monday morning. It's going to be starting at 11 o'clock. It's easier. My morning is smoother. It's easier to have everything ready by that time. So just make sure that you get prepared for that. Of course, you can go back and check out any of the episodes. Those are public. You can find them at our YouTube channel, because Facebook, I don't know if they've restored the videos. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Ah, yeah. I don't know if they've restored the videos. Maybe not. So go to youtube.com/Paleocrat and you can see all of the stuff that we did this week. It's amazing. If you love it, we ask only that you share it with your friends and that you subscribe, just so you can keep up with us and know what we're doing. If you want to go that extra mile and you want to donate, of course, 100% of all that we make goes towards the continued education of my children at Sacred Heart Academy. And you can find that, more about the show, more about the products that we have, the Zazzle store and everything, by checking out the blog at paleocratdiaries.com. And it even has a video of the kids and our background story, how we came back to the Lord after the tragic life and death, the amazing and tragic, the spectacular and unfortunate life and death of our firstborn daughter, Samantha Lee, to childhood brain cancer, and how God ultimately used that to bring us back to the faith. All of that stuff is there. There's even a promo for the school. And so you can see more about Sacred Heart, and how amazing it is, the classical education that they receive, even the way that the attire, the way they dress for success, the way they're modest and disciplined, learning things like Latin and theory, with whether it's music or art. It's an amazing school with amazing teachers and amazing headmaster. And so we're really grateful for all that. And it starts out the day, every single day, with the centrality of the Mass. So they hear the gospel and they partake in the sacrifice of the Mass. And so very, very great. I love you. I love all of you. So make sure to learn all about that. There's one place to go. It's the one-stop shop over at Paleocratdiaries.com. If you'd like to be interviewed on the show, or you'd like to interview me, make sure, and it doesn't have to be a friendly one. You want to be combative? I'm down with that. We can go fisticuffs. But for that, interviews, speeches, any other inquiries, contact paleocratdiaries@gmail.com. There's going to be a new episode this weekend of Paleo Cheese Podcast, and I think maybe next week we might go live, not entirely sure. You got to check out Meaning of Catholic. I was on there now, this past week? Just this week, I think, right? Was on there with Tim Flanders, Kennedy Hall. Showed some clips from that. Really, really fun time. You can see the entire thing by going over to their YouTube channel and checking out their .com, okay? So you got to do that. Also, holyfaithmedia.com. If you want to listen to any of these shows as a podcast and just let it play, all of those are available, not just for my show, but all the other shows on the network, holyfaithmedia.com. Until next time, have a great weekend. Never give up. Keep on smiling. And memento mori. Oh. I love you guys. If I don't talk into microphones, I don't make that mad cash. Making all that money. Making that mad loot, right?
Mind control. So we see the minority elite imposing their ideology on an unwilling and resentful populace. This causes a backlash. People get ticked off.
The left is working long and hard to make us feel as if we've done something wrong. Worse yet, that we are the problem. Don't let people just rip on your heritage. Don't let people just rip on your traditions. Don't let people rip on your heroes. Stand up for what you believe, what made you who you are. So unless this disenfranchised majority begins standing up for what they believe in their heart of hearts to be true, I think we'd be left with nothing more than a dirge, and maybe a funeral procession.